everybody. Let's start off with a word of prayer, and then we'll kick this thing off. Father, thank you so much for your love and for your grace, and God, just the opportunity that we have to be a part of the local church, to be a part of seeing kids fall in love with you. And Lord, it takes a village, it takes everybody. And so I'm grateful for these people who are here today who have taken time, probably on a day of rest, to be here. So God, I pray you would bless our time. I pray you would help us to get out on time. And God, that you would just give us the wisdom that we need in order to see children fall in love with you. In your name we pray. Amen. Well, hey, everybody, just want to say welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I know that many of you you're running from one thing and you're stopping here and then you're going to run the next thing. So I appreciate you being here. We're also this is on Facebook and on our app as well. So thank you to everybody that's tuning in right now. I know some spouses are probably at home watching, keeping the kiddos right now too. So just want to say thank you to everybody that's here. We'll go through, I'll kind of walk through a little bit about what we're going to talk about, but just wanted to share a little bit about kind of what we want to do as a kids ministry. There's two words that keep popping up every time I think about student ministry, kids ministry, family ministry, and it is to develop and deploy. To develop and deploy. I love what Brother Mark spoke on this morning. I love that the realness about that's where our world is. That's where we're going to live in, and it's not going to get any better. We don't need to be shocked that Target has a whole line of clothing items that are for has certain things on there and things like that. We don't need to be shocked because Target is not selling Christian values. They're trying to sell products for people to buy. And so the world is going to continue to go this way. And so as a church, we want to develop students and children, and we want to deploy them. We want to send them out. We want to equip families to lead really well. And so that's what we want to do at our church. We want to develop our children. Man, when our kids come here, we want this to be the best place that they've ever been, and we want to equip them, we want to teach them, we want to train them, we want to send them back out. They're going back into their families, they're going back into their schools, and so that's what we want to do as a kids ministry. A couple things that you can kind of already see, some things that we're already kind of doing is one, we have you notice we've got some signage downstairs, and we'll talk about our teams here in a second. But our facilities team has been working on some signage, even though it's temporary because it's in the hope of knowing that we're about to start tearing walls down soon. And so you'll see it, but we got some signage up everywhere you go, and so you'll see some of that. That's helping with our check-in and check-out systems and things like that. We really want to be diligent about checking our kids in and checking our kids out. And I know that for a lot of people that might be a culture, kind of like it's kind of a changing of a culture. We've got to be diligent about making sure that and so there's things that we're doing as a church to make sure that we're providing you those tools and resources to be able to check our kids in and check our kids out. But we want to make sure that we're creating a safe place. And so you're going to see a lot of that as we are, especially you as volunteers, we're going to talk a lot about that. Making sure that kids are checking in, making sure that kids are checking out. You all know who Cooper is, and you know that he belongs to me, right? But as our church grows and our church, as we start seeing more people come to our church, that's why it's going to be more important than ever that we're making sure that we're checking our kids out and making sure we're doing that diligently. Also, we're working on some of the rotations for Sundays and Wednesdays and what that looks like. What does class time look like, and how does that function in our kids ministry in the current structure that we have? And then also when we start rebuilding, how does that all work and function? And we're going to talk a little bit about that. I know there are people in this room, you are currently serving on a Sunday morning. And for many of you, you served last week, you served the week before, you served the week before that, you served this week. You are constantly serving. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for your, just for loving our children and serving. And I'm so grateful for you. And I'm hoping that when we get to August, we might have a plan to where we can hopefully relieve you of some of that, where you can be able to come up here and sit upstairs with your spouse. You can start going to Sunday school. It's going to take, but here's the thing, it's going to take everybody to be able to pull this off. All right, it's going to take everybody. And so you are here. I know that you're here. You're not here because you have nothing else to do on a Sunday. You're here because you're passionate about seeing our kids fall in love with Jesus. And so I need you to be passionate. Look, this is something me and Bridget were talking about today. We don't necessarily, we want to empower you to be able to lead really well. God's given you all gifts, abilities, and talents, and we want to empower you to be able to use that in our kids' ministry. And so we want to be able to give people breaks, but also we're trying to think through ways of how can we do rotations better? How can we do things a little bit differently? And so Bridget will talk a little bit about that as well. And so our Sundays are going to look a little bit different when we get to August. Our Wednesdays may look a little bit different as well. And the reason it's got to be a little bit different is because we don't have one person that's leading everything. All right, we don't have, I am the family pastor, I'm the student pastor, but I'm not a kids director. I'm barely good with the one I have, all right? But what I do know is I surround myself with a lot of really smart people, and I know that they know how to do it, and so together we kind of work things out. And so, but in order to do that, what I desperately need from all of you is to sell this vision as well to others and to say, hey, we really need you to be a part of this. We really, if it's your day, if it's your Sunday, I need you to be here. I need you to serve on that day. But my promise to you is that if everybody can pitch in, then you don't have to work 3 Sundays in a row, 2 Sundays in a row. And so that's kind of my promise. And we'll talk about the scheduling a little bit as well and what that'll look like, and that'll make a little bit more sense. And then also, lastly, we have a kids ministry team. It's a team of moms and dads and everybody that's involved in the kids ministry. Some may not have kids in the kids ministry, but they are currently. We've met, I guess, about 3 times, and we'll meet again July the 17th to kind of nail down what was going to happen from August till December and what that's going to look like. And I just want to make sure that they haven't. We've never recognized them. And so I do want to take some time so that you guys can know who's who and who's on what team. I won't make you guys stand up, come to the front or anything like that. But I think for the most part, everybody knows everybody. But on the administrative side, we have Miss Bridget Caton. She's going to be leading our administrative team. That is from the little details of when we get a guest that comes in. Who puts that information in the computer. Remember, everything was all on one person to be able to do. All right, so we've taken that role and we've divided it out amongst six different teams. All right, so that's another thing that we've just got to remember. There's not one person. We've kind of got multiple people leading. Ultimately, if you have any questions, obviously you can come to me. But we're trying to transition this really, really well. So we have Bridget, who's on our administrative team. This is also like for background checks. So if we have someone who wants to serve, be a volunteer, we can give them, make sure we're giving the background checks and things like that. We have our facilities team, Ms. Mary Beth Easterlin and Lauren Barnes. They are in a lot of the signage that you see. They're looking at our different rooms and what are some things that are needed in our classrooms right now. And then as we go to transition and start the rebuilding phase, what are some things that need to be in those classrooms as we're transitioning as well. You've got our hospitality team, which is Caitlin Hillier and Amy Guy. They are kind of in charge of kind of what are the events that we are doing, from the fun events to the different things. Like, for example, next Wednesday night or this coming Wednesday night, we're going to be doing a movie night at Thorsby High School, but other fun things that we're going to be doing throughout the year. But then also, as kids are walking on campus, we want to create a real fun hospitality environment where people are walking into our church and being able to, stand there, smile and greeting people, showing a mom and dad where Sunday school is, showing a child, hey, okay, now that you're checked in, let's take you to class, kind of creating a rotation with that. So that's our hospitality team. We have a worship and curriculum team, which is Shay Hughes, Heather Gentry, and Amber Ray. They have been looking at some of the curriculum that we're using, and so we're trying to look at what does Sundays look like and what do Wednesdays look like from a teaching perspective and from a scheduling perspective. We have our serve team, which is Colton Ellison, Hannah Ellison, Lacey Neely, and Mike Presley. We're looking at ways to get our children involved in serving and getting out in the community and doing some things. And so you'll notice, like Mission Thorsby, we had a place for the children to be able to work and serve. And so they were out there working and doing those kind of things. But then we've got, I think if you notice, for Vacation Bible School, those who brought the most friends, they got a gift card. So it's little things like that, but they will be coming up with different ways to get our children involved in serving. And then you have our communications/tech team, which is Jessica Glasscock, Rachel Fine, and Patrick Hillier. And so you'll be noticing whenever we're putting information out about when things start or the graphics that's being made. A lot of those are made by those individuals, just making sure that they're, make sure we're communicating to everybody and everybody knows what's coming up and things like that. So, and especially when we get through July the 17th, then we'll start putting a schedule out for the whole year, and hopefully we'll be able to hand you, hey, this is what August through December is going to look like. And so that way you can mark your calendars and you'll know exactly, and tell everybody else that, hey, you can't do it. We got a church event. Kidding, but not really. All right. So that's kind of what things are kind of look like. Again, I have strengths. I also have a ton of weaknesses. And so I try to surround myself with people who are really smart and who have a lot of gifts. And together, I think we can accomplish something really cool. And so it's going to be a learning process. It's going to take some time trying to figure things out until we kind of figure out what that transition looks like. But I'm really excited about I'm really excited about the foundation that was laid in our kids ministry, and I'm really excited about the future. And I think it's going to be really good. And so I'm going to let Miss Caton come up, and she's going to share a little bit about what that looks like, what Sundays look like, and what why are you sitting in certain color sections and things like that. She's going to give you a little bit more of those details.
Okay. All right. So a lot of you have been getting text messages and stuff from us asking you to serve in different areas than maybe you're used to. So when you see your name on here, it may not necessarily be next to something that you have always been serving in. But a lot of you had agreed to those. So some of you might see your name on here and go, well, I'm not usually a helper in that area, but I might have moved you to a different grade level. So just know that this can be changed. I took the current volunteers that we had and put them where they most have been serving, and then we recruited along the way. And so I'll get to that in just a second. So what we are doing on Sundays is trying to do like a mini VBS, pretty much streamlined. I know that probably was like hurt your heart when you heard that. You're like, VBS all over again. But hopefully this will help with the amount of volunteers that we need in the classrooms so that you can serve just that once a month, which is the goal. And so you'll see at the top the schedule. We have also, now when I say we, I'm talking about the kids ministry team. This is not something that me and Justin have just, okay, the kids ministry team has met and has discussed this. We've been meeting probably since March. So when I say we, I mean kid ministry team. Have decided to break the grade levels down into 1 and 2 year olds, 3 and 5 year olds, kindergarten through second, and 3rd through 5th grade. And so nursery will be 1 and down. And there was a couple reasons for that. The nursery is overflowing. And so if we can alleviate some of that, then we can use those workers elsewhere. This would be strictly up to the parent if they want their child to move to the 1 and 2 year old class or if they want them to stay in the nursery. But we've got to remember that they're 1 and 2. So they're the same age. It's almost like nursery 1, nursery 2. You have a smaller for the babies, and then you have another class for the 1 and 2 year olds. We're just not going to call it nursery. We're going to call it 1 and 2. But they are still little and they are still babies, but they're going to be together with two. So I know it seems like, oh, that's a big move, but you're keeping those babies together. You're just helping the nursery to where they are not so overfilled on Sundays. I've been serving in the nursery on Sunday mornings, and it's a lot in a small space. And so if we can have just the little babies in there, it might be a little bit easier for them. So that's the way we have the classes divided, and this is for Sundays. I'll get to Wednesdays in just a second. So you can see that we have broken up by times, that every grade level will go to their grade level classroom as normal, except it won't be a 2 and 3 year old class. It'll be a 1 and 2, and then 3 through 5. So those classrooms will still be used. They'll just be a slightly different age. And so they'll have the free time there at the beginning. And hopefully this is not to say, oh, well, we don't have to get there till 10:10. But this is time for the teachers to meet the kids and have an icebreaker with them and play a game with them or let them interact with each other. I hear this is very important from the teachers, that that's a good time. And then you'll have your class time from 10:10 to 10:40. And that can be broken down into a 15-minute segment for the younger kids, so they don't have 30 minutes. That's a lot. So they could have like a 15-minute class time. And then we are looking into, the Kidsmen team is looking into like sensory rooms and things like that, to where if, okay, this is too much for the 1 and 2 year olds, the class time's over, now let's go to the sensory room. And so they can play a little bit there. It'll be like a little play area for them. And we hope to get that going sometime in the fall. And then I have built-in transition times. That's just to help us get from one place to the next and to get started. And then all of the grades will have snack together, just like at VBS. We're asking that the teachers stay in there during snack time if possible. So you'll serve that whole hour just to help the snack rotation leaders keep an eye on all the kids. But it'll be very similar to what we do at VBS. And there's a snack team that will have it planned. You just got to be in there to watch them. And so that's like the 10 to 11 hour. And I know this is going to sound a little different because we're not having 2 class times, which is what has been in the past. For the younger ones, they have 2 class times at 10 and 11. And then the older ones have a Sunday school class, and then they have another lesson. So the next hour will be more movement and free time for the kids to get out of the classroom a little bit. The craft will be still geared around the Bible lesson. So our craft ladies and gentlemen will teach the craft, but still talk about the Bible verse throughout it and the theme throughout it. This is just another way that kids learn. So we can't just, we don't have another class. We've got to incorporate into that craft, this is the Bible verse, and all that's in your book, and I'll give it to you in just a second, so that when you're doing the craft, you can still talk about the Bible verse, and you can still talk about what they learned in their lesson, and it's just another way that they learn, especially the younger ones. The older ones would not be doing a craft. They will be going to a small group discussion, which is going to be a little bit different, and there's material in the GROW curriculum for that as well. So we will have, you can see it's kind of divided up now by rotation. So if you're game leaders, you can see who we have for game. If you are music, you can see music on there. So you can see those times and then the transition times built in with each. And they're only 15-minute rotations. So, you have 2 classes for the younger ones back to back pretty much for craft. Now you will have an older one for small group discussion, but that is in the material. And then you can see where we dismiss at 12, or we get ready to dismiss at 12. Right, Brother Mark? Where's Brother Mark? Is he in here? Dismiss at 12, right? So that is the schedule, and that is what we are going to try starting August the 6th, okay? And we are not saying we have all the answers, and we may have to modify and change, but we are hoping to give this a shot. And so all we need is everyone to be like, we can try. We can try. That's what we need. You can see the locations of where you'll go for the grade levels is mainly your classroom that you're already using. The snack and craft will be in the Old Fellowship Hall. The game will either be outside or McReynolds, depending on the weather. The music will be on the 3rd floor. In the main children's room, it's the room with the multicolored walls. It has a TV already in it for the music leaders. And then everyone will dismiss back to McReynolds Hall at that time because it's a bigger space, and we're hoping to have that one flow of traffic. And also, that's the Sunday school will be through by then. So we can't use it until the 11 o'clock hour. And if you have any questions or anything, please ask. I know it's a lot. I know it's different. And so at the end, we can go over any questions that you have. You all look really sleepy. So is it my voice? It is really hot in here, but we have the air on, and I don't know what else to do about that. It is hot. Okay. Um, then the teams. Some of you will see your name on there on every team. And that is because those are teachers that like to work months at a time. So they know what they're doing. They are set. They work a month and then they rotate. That's how they like it and that's how they prefer it. And we're not going to change if that's what they like. So if you are a teacher who wants to work month on and month off, you can do that. Just get with the other teacher in that grade. And if that's what you decide to do that. But the way we have it is you'll serve once a month with your team. So if you were on the red team, you are going to serve the first Sunday of every month, and you know that. So we will no longer be using Planning Center for that. So no more decline button. You should have seen their faces. So no more button to decline, and that is going to help the team, but also it will help you. You don't have to wonder when your Sunday is. You know when your Sunday is. Now, is there going to be emergencies? Sure. Are there going to be vacations that you need to do that day? Sure. But now you have a list of all the teams. So if you're a music helper and you know you cannot come the first Sunday, but you can come the third, you now know exactly who to contact, say, can we please swap? So now it becomes your responsibility to find your replacement. And then you would notify your team captain of that. Team captains are at the top. Those are people that serve on the KidMin team. And you'll be able to share contact information, all that today. So you would tell the team captain, hey, me and so are switching. I have this coming up. And so hopefully you now know how to plan for the rest of the year. Okay? And we think that's what's best for the kid ministry team. Now, if the church does decide to hire another a children's director, they may change that and go back to Planning Center. But if you've ever used Planning Center, it is stressful and it's overwhelming when you see red. That means decline. And so we are trying to avoid that, but also hopefully help you out because you'll know the Sunday that you work. Now, for some reason, you look at this and go, blue team, that's the second Sunday. Green team is the third Sunday. Yellow team is the fourth Sunday. If you're like, oh, 4 Sundays are bad for me, I can probably swap you. It's not a big deal. Just let me know, and we'll swap around and make sure that the other person is okay with that. You're probably wondering about fifth Sundays. They only happen 3 or 4 times a year, and so on fifth Sundays, volunteers get a break. That will be a Sunday that we have family worship together. The children will worship together with the adults, or we will have outside picnics where we team up with Pastor O's church or something like that. Those will be days that we plan events. And so the parents will be responsible for their kids, not you. And so that will also give you a break. Our first one coming up is in October. And so I think we've already got something going for October. So now the babies and the younger ones, I'll be working with Miss Donna on that, and there'll probably be something for them if we need it. But for the older ones, they will have worship with us. Okay? So blue team, you're the second. Green team, you're the third. Yellow team, you're the fourth Sunday. Okay? So now just about your curriculum. If you are on this row with the binders, I'm sure we can take a minute and pass these out. They are divided up by grade levels. And so if you are a teacher, you get the 1 and 2 year olds or 3 through 5 and so forth. Not the helpers, just the teachers. If you are craft for your red team, you have a binder. Music and games has a binder. So you have team captains if they're here. I know some team captains are not. If y'all could just go ahead and start dividing that up, and I'll give you a second, and then we'll talk about that, okay? If you're a helper, you do not get a binder. You're yellow. Yeah. Oh, like the teacher's not here? Who's the helper? Like a responsible adult? Who's the teacher? Oh, no, just let me give that to Shelly. No. Miss Shelly, will you make sure Kelly gets her book? It's easier to give it to someone on crafts. and if you have any of your binders because someone's not here, we will make sure that we get them to the correct people. Okay, so we're going to be using Grow curriculum on Sunday mornings across the board. That is what I think they were using Wednesday nights. So the kids are used to it already. We're just switching it and putting it on Sundays. So you will see in your binders, you'll see at the top the week. Now, we have left all the content in there because we want you to have more material than not enough. And since we're giving it to you in June and you have the material all the way until December, that gives you plenty of time to plan and coordinate and get your objects together and everything planned out now over the summer or on your free time when you can. And so some of you are procrastinators, and that's fine. That's how you roll, and you're going to just knock it out the park. But some of you, if you're like me, if you have something like a backpack that you need to fill with things, you've got to have time to think about that. And so the curriculum goes all the way till December. What will happen around November is the curriculum team, which is Miss Shay, Miss Heather, and Miss Amber. They will be filling those binders for you for the next semester. And we'll work out those details when we get closer to how that team will be doing that, but they'll be responsible for that. Okay, so let's talk about teachers. If you are a teacher, most of the content in the lesson is for you. The only thing that I do not need you doing in there is anything that says craft. It doesn't even say craft. It usually says activity. So anything that you would be making out of paper or not necessarily building, but they're all different, so it's hard to describe it, and they all look different. Like you're gonna have to look at these lessons, before the morning of, okay, in order to make sure that you have, everything that you need for that class. But if it's the activity part, I need you to skip it. So I know in the first lesson, on the very first page, you'll see like a music, and then when you flip it over, you'll see like an icebreaker game, and then you'll see the craft right underneath it. That's not always in the same spot. I wish it was, it's just not. So anytime you're a teacher, you can pretty much do anything in that entire lesson. Will you have time for all of it? Probably not. If you are teaching younger kids, will you have to pick and choose what you do? Sure. If you're teaching the older kids, you may need all of it. But I need you to save that craft for the craft team. So if you are a craft leader, you have both the preschool and the older kids' craft. So you can choose which one you prefer and which one you like. And I'll get to that in just a second. So I know that sounds confusing, but we wanted to give you more resources than trying to make you guess and come up with a craft. So, and then teachers, it's not that you can't play the music on the first page. You can play the music if you want to, but that's during music time. And if you're a music teacher, I'll explain that to you in just a second. So I know it looks confusing and it looks like a lot, but there's a lot of interactive stuff built into it. Instead of just reading something to a child, there's like object lessons that you get together, little individual games that you play with them. So those are things that the reason why we're giving you the curriculum now is because we want you to make their class interactive. And we're trying to give you time to do that. And if you don't know how to do that, anybody on the worship and curriculum team, that's Shay, Heather, Amber, or even myself, can help you. But we don't want to just wing it. The kids are worth more than that, right? So that's why the church just spent a lot of money making these binders, printing all those copies. And I think it took Logan Mitchell 48 hours. He's our intern. So we put a lot of time and money into it. So we want you to utilize it and not lose them either because they will take us time to reprint them. So cherish them. Love your binders, okay? And be looking through that. So as a teacher, you have a lot of information in there that you can use, and it's not just reading a story. There's more things in there than reading a story. Of course, there's a story you can read too, but there's other things in there that you can do during class time, which is 30 minutes. Okay. And then if you're a helper, your job is just to help build relationships, help keep the kids safe, help them practice their scripture memory. We are working on, the Kids Men team is working on having a store for the younger probably the fifth graders going to want to do it too, once a semester. So where if they're bringing their Bibles, they're memorizing their scripture, they're getting points, and with those points, they'll be able to buy items in that store for themselves, but then there'll also be a store where they get to buy something for someone else. So the kids ministry team will hopefully have that run in the first semester. If not, we'll definitely have it the second, and we'll get you more information on how you can keep up with, are they practicing their memory verse? Are they learning it? Are they bringing their Bible, bringing a friend, and so forth. Okay, craft leaders. So when they come to you, if you look at the craft time, I think the first one might not start until later. So you might not start right at 11, but you have a binder that has the lesson that the teacher is teaching. So you would pull out that craft that teacher is not going to do, and you will plan that craft. Now, do you have to do that one necessarily? No. But what we really want is the craft to relate back to the lesson, so that as you're doing the craft, you can re-talk about it all again with them, and they just had a lesson so that they will hear it. Plus, this will help with some of our kids who don't come. Some of them come at 11, which means they don't come at 10. And so they're going to miss their class time. And so hopefully that craft will help reiterate that. But also what we are really going to push starting in August is bring your kids at 10. Get here at 10. There's something for everybody. There's something for the kids. There's something for adults. And hopefully if those kids catch on, well, hey, I just missed all this. Maybe they'll say, their parents, we need to be here at 10. So hopefully that will encourage that. We'll see how it works. If it doesn't go well, there'll be another meeting where we meet with you guys again, and you can say, this is just not, the kids aren't getting it. Okay. So what I need you to do as craft leaders, though, is to go ahead and go through everything and get your material list together and get that to Justin. And Justin's going to have all your supplies ordered, and he'll have it ready for you. We're not going to assemble it for you, but he'll have it ordered and ready. So if you are a craft leader, I'm going to let you meet with the other craft people today, and we want you to get a list together, not today, but over the summer before August the 6th. You can email him, you can text him, and we really need specifics. Like if you want to order something from Amazon, we need that separate. If you want to order something from Oriona Trading, whatever. So that would be a part of the craft leader's job. And then something else that Mary Beth is working on, she's our facilities team, is a cute way to display the kids' crafts. So instead of sending home so much every Sunday, we might hang those up for a while. So we want you to choose crafts that could be displayed in the old fellowship hall. And she's working on a cute way to display that, and it's going to add some decorations down there. And then like once in 9 weeks, we'll do like an art gallery walk, and the parents can walk through and get their kids' craft at one time. So this may mean that craft leaders, you may choose a craft that may take longer than the 15 minutes, and that's fine. If you want to choose a craft that takes a couple Sundays to get done, that's okay, because we don't necessarily have to send it home every time. We can span it out over the month if we need to. So they can make, the month of November, they may make handmade ornaments or stuff like that. I know as a parent, that stuff doesn't end up in the trash, ornaments and things like that. This is going to sound bad as a parent, but other things sometimes do end up in the trash without Cooper knowing, because he doesn't want to throw anything away. And so what we are looking for, I know it sounds like a terrible parent. So he does ask about it sometimes, and I don't know. So maybe to plan that out. And so just get that budget together, and we'll give that to the finance team. They'll discuss it, and if it works with the finance team, then he'll order those supplies. Does that make sense? Okay. If you're a game leader, you also have a binder, and this is going to sound a little complicated too, but in the younger, you have both versions. You have a younger version and an older version lesson in the same week. That's why your binder's a little bit thicker. They have games for the younger ones that are built around the lesson, but they don't necessarily have a game every week for the older ones. And the curriculum team met and decided that it's okay every now and then to get the kids outside for 15 minutes and play kickball or play basketball or whatever they need to do to move around and get some energy out, that it's okay, because even though they might not be having a lesson, they're learning It's a team. You're building relationships with them, and it's important. It's still important. You're teaching them manners. You're teaching them all kinds of things that they may need. So the game leaders, you'll have a little freedom too. But if you also need supplies for your games, it works the same way. Make a list. Get what you want done. Amazon, Orion Trading, whatever you need. Get it to Justin. He'll get it to the finance team, and we'll go on from there. It's only 15 minutes, so hopefully parents won't be too upset that we're letting them play for 15 minutes, and it might not necessarily be lesson related. So also what we're going to do is we're going to tell parents it's okay not to dress your child up every Sunday. You definitely still can, but if they wear a dress, maybe wear shorts under them or whatever, because the kids may be doing more interactive things outside. Of course, McReynolds is a little bit different. We are looking into a game room, the Kidman team is. So just like the sensory room would be for the younger ones, there'll be a game room for the older ones. So if it's raining, their game time could be in there with appropriate video games and such. Okay? And if you're a music leader, your TV and computer will be in the room for you on that third floor. You have both lessons as well in your binder for preschool and older, and you can choose whatever YouTube videos from that list. If you Google them, type them into the YouTube, you'll pop up. I've been popping up some of them. Some of them are like, yeah, this is pretty good. Some of them are like, okay. So if you don't think a child would like it, you're welcome to change it or use the same one for the preschool and the older ones. It's up to you. This is really an easy job. You plug in the YouTube video, you dance around with the kids, and you have fun. So that won't happen every time, though. There will be a time where the kids are starting to, I think 4 times a year, Adam Easterling knows more about it, where the kids are going to have programs more in here. And so that music rotation time will now be their practice time. So there may be some times when you're the music teacher that you're not playing the YouTube video, but Adam will be over that, and he will let you know what they need to be working on and what they need to be practicing. And he's also in one of the rotations too, so he may decide just to use that one Sunday that he's serving to do that all year long. I don't think you'll need supplies, but if you do, again, make a list and get it to Justin before August the 6th. I've already talked about Fifth Sundays with you guys. Okay, that's a lot, I know. That's a Sunday. That's how we're thinking it's going to roll. Just remember, one time. And if you're the snack, I didn't really talk about the snack team, but you're serving 15 minutes once a month. Okay? So those snack people, we're going to hopefully utilize you more on Wednesdays, so be ready for that in just a second. But the snack team, you also will make a list of all the snacks that you need that obviously can be bought in bulk for a large period of time, and get that to Justin, and he'll make sure that the snack team has what they need. This is a simple snack, what they normally are used to, goldfish, water, juice, and such as that. But you'll meet with them in just a second and kind of brainstorm how you guys want to do that. Okay, did we go over? Everybody good? So now, the Wednesday night. It does look a little bit different. The schedule, you do not have that copy yet because we want to see who all is interested and can help. Some of you are in the room who are not on a team, so I'm hoping that maybe you can serve Wednesday night. And then some of you who are not doing as much on a Sunday, maybe you're not teaching. Maybe you're a helper, or maybe you are in the music rotation or the craft rotation, and so you're only doing a craft once a month. Maybe you could start helping us on Wednesday nights. Right now, there might be 3 people helping on Wednesday nights previously. Is that kind of what it was, Miss Tricia? Was there about? So you can see that was a limited amount for pretty much the same amount of kids, right? I mean, there'd be like 40 kids in there in all. And so we really, really, really need your help on Wednesday nights. Because we would like to divide them up by age too, because it's a lot for a kindergartner to be in the same room as a 5th, 6th grader, which we'll talk about 6th grade in just a second. Cooper gets a little anxiety when he's in there with all those bigger kids because they answer questions quicker. Well, they read and I couldn't read it. And I know that seems, that's silly, but he does. He comes home, he gets stressed about it, he gets anxiety about it. And so we're going to try to separate them out too by the ages again, 1 and 2, 3 through 5, kindergarten through 2nd, and then 3rd through 5th grade. It just recently got approved that 6th grade will now integrate into White Flag Student Ministry. So 6th grade will be a part on Sundays, and Wednesdays will be in the youth building. So that is something that will be new, but I think it will also help the children's ministry because you don't have to worry about such a big age gap there. And then the 6th graders feel like maybe they have a little bit more place over there than you trying to talk to a 2nd grader. I just can't imagine how hard that must be to try to talk to a kindergartner and a 6th grader in the same room. So what I need for Wednesday nights from y'all is in just a second after we divide up into our teams and talk, is then I'm going to say, if you're interested in serving on a Wednesday night, please come see me, and we're going to fill in the slots. Now, I would love for, if you're on the red team, that you serve the first week. You serve the Sunday and that Wednesday. And so that just knocks your week right out. And you got to remember, Wednesday night's 1 hour. Okay, so it's not as long. There won't be as much, rotations happening. And if we start to, there's a lot of parents right now, I think, on Wednesday nights that just drop their kids off and leave, from what I've heard. So if we could get those parents involved too, maybe you know of other parents that could get involved and help too. Maybe if they have a purpose, when they come, they'll serve once a month. But then the rest of the time, they can be in their D groups, because I know D groups meet on Wednesday night. So you might say, well, I can't do it. My D group meets. Well, it's just one time that you're serving, so you can meet with your D group the other Wednesday nights, if everybody comes together. Now, do we need the whole list? No. We're thinking 12 volunteers per Wednesday night probably is what we need. We would offer a snack again, but maybe a dinner if we have people that are willing to do that. So maybe you're like, I can't serve Wednesday nights, but I can make sure pizza gets there. Or pretty much we can alternate pizza twice a month, and they'll be fine with that. So you can make sure that pizza gets there, or the corn dog gets there, or whatever, if you can't serve. But then we'll have a class time, and then we'll have an activity time, and we'll flip-flop those. And so I'm really looking for teachers, helpers, but also people that would be in charge of the activity for that Wednesday night. And then that will also be geared around learning the memory verse and stuff as well, so that they can earn points for the store that we're hoping to have. And so I will come back to that, because you can think about it. You can pray about it now if you want to, but more than likely, if we don't get enough, I will probably text message people again and call people again and say, hey, can you please help and serve? So hopefully we'll get most of those slots filled. And the curriculum for Wednesday night will be Explore the Bible, and it's all in this book. There's a preschool, younger, and older, and you will, if you decide to teach, you will get the book handed directly to you. We don't have to make paper copies. It's great. You just hand the book, and within here, it's a lot of the same thing you saw there. There's a lesson, there's a craft, there's a game. There is a lot of stuff. There's circle time and sing-along time. There's really a lot here, too. So if you are just serving, that one Wednesday a month, then you'll have one of these books. And I didn't order enough for everybody, because I don't know how many we need right now, but I'll order one for you specifically, or Miss Laura will. So that is that curriculum. We tried to use Grow Sunday and Wednesday. It's just not enough to stretch it out. And so since the church already uses that, a lot of you are already familiar with it, we just stuck to that. Okay. All right, so what we need to do now is, if your captain is here, I would like for you to meet as a team. I have this piece of paper where you can put your name, your phone number, your email, and your t-shirt size. And the captain, if you'll just get that for me. If the captain's not here, just if somebody would do it for me. And this is for you. Really, it's for your captain, but it's for us to have a copy. And I know we have a lot of your contact information already in Planning Center, but we need to be able to give it to your team captain and to each other as well. So we'll be sharing a lot of this information tomorrow. There'll be some more stuff coming to you by email, as far as he's going to talk about safety and stuff at the end. And so this is for your team captain to have. So if in case there's an emergency or somebody can't fill your spot, that we have this. And then your t-shirt size is because we would love for your team to wear a t-shirt. They'll probably all be one color, but on Sundays to be in a t-shirt. And this helps the game people be outside, and if it's hot, in a t-shirt and shorts. But it also helps you get on the floor and play with the kids. I know sometimes in the nursery and I'm in a dress, it's really hard to do that. But if I'm in jeans, t-shirt, and tennis shoes, I can get down there on the floor with them. I can play with them. I can run around with them. So we're going to t-shirts on days that you serve. And then the other 3 Sundays, you can wear your dresses and still look all beautiful. But we're going to Kidman t-shirts. And so that's why we need your t-shirt size. Okay? So I'll give you a few minutes to meet with your team, look through the curriculum, talk about it, get to know people on your team. And I'll also be coming around to make sure there's no problems if you need to be swapped and so forth. If there are people who are not here, if you'll just put their name and just put absent, not here, whatever, so I